All right, I wanted to talk today about another What You Missed in Mistborn, Part 7. This is coming from around Chapter 11 of Mistborn, The Final Empire, and is again spoilers for all of Mistborn Era 1, because we have seen that Sandersonian planned so much from the very beginning, and we just had a reference to the need to prepare for the future. And Sazed and Kelsey are talking, and he's talking about, well, how do you make a religion continue, right? How do you ensure that they live on? And of course, I'm sitting over here thinking like, oh my gosh, survivorism. Like literally, Kelsier will go on to basically be the founding deity, functionally, for a religion on Scadrial. And then that made me think about other ways in which Kelsier is so similar to the Lord Ruler, because we're going to see at the end of this book that Kelsier has these caches of items prepared for his people so that they can survive after he's gone. What did the Lord Ruler do? He had caches so that people, himself, could survive in the event that the deepness came back, which we're also getting lots of references to the deepness again, which we know in reality is Ruin and his power kind of exerting itself across the world and trying to destroy everything because he wants to destroy the whole world. That's his whole thing. The other big thing from these chapters is we are getting glimpses of the plan to subvert everything, of all our expectations, right? So we're seeing in one chapter that they're trying to figure out, why would the Lord Ruler want to kill all the Terrace people? He must not understand Furukami, but he's still concerned. Oh, it's because he knows all about Furukami, and he wants to make sure that nobody else has the same powers as he does. But Sanderson, the genius that he is, gives us an epigraph right after that, where it's Alendi being worried about the more volatile members of the Terrace people, and how Rashik is a member of the Terrace people, and how they seem to oppose him. And so, of course, that's planting the idea in the reader's mind, oh, that explains it. That's why the Lord Ruler wants to get rid of the Terrace people. Nope, it's not that. But it's beautiful. It's right there. And we also see ways in which Rashik stole from Alendi, because Alendi is writing about a glorious, potential unifying empire of man. And what does Rashik go on to do? He creates a final empire of Scadrian kind. And I just think that's so funny that he would steal from this person he rejected and hated so much. And come on, Sanderson, to tell us that Creedic Shaw is named for Terrace, for Hill of 1,000 Spires. We're going to learn in the second book that this is actually where the Well of Ascension was, and it was moved from the Terrace region over to this area. So of course he kept the Terrace name because he's a Terrace person, and it's right there in our faces that this is where the Well of Ascension was, and it's already just being laid the groundwork right now. I love this stuff. And then one more that I saw, Marsh. I will say this was perhaps the clunkiest writing I've seen in a long time from Sanderson. It was very interesting. Vin, out of nowhere, is like, hey, Lestibornis, is Marsh his real name? And there's no reason for her to ask this. There's literal zero reason for her to think that's not his real name. We haven't heard that's an unusual name. She hasn't thought, well, that's a weird name. But why does she ask? It's so that Lestibornis can say, oh no, his nickname was Iron Eyes. Oh, Sanderson. Oh, and then of course she's like, oh yeah, that reminds me of the Steel Inquisitors. Poor Marsh has perhaps one of the saddest stories in Mistborn of any of the characters. Just to be cursed to continue to live on. Oh, anyway. And then the last one is we're beginning to ask the question in these couple of chapters, where is the ATM going, right? That's the big question, because Kelsier's figured out 90% of the ATM produced is not being given to the nobles, so it's got to be somewhere, and we know the eventual answer to that is it's being smuggled over for the Khandra to protect and preserve that ATM reserve, to keep the body of Ruin locked up, which kind of a second Well of Ascension to a certain extent. Oh man, it's just fascinating stuff, that it's all being, all the groundwork's being laid for it. Your bonus question/factoid for the day is, put in the comments, what do you think the first dress that Vin wore to her ball when she met Ellen Venture, what color was it? Because I read it and I thought, wow, that is not the color I thought it was, and would have bet you dollars to donuts that wasn't the right color. So I'd love to hear what you think. What other things are you seeing in any of your reads and rereads? And let's keep reading and finding out.